Good morning, YouTube. Good morning. This is your home girl, Arabia Barbosa 914, which is the county of New York. Shout out to the motherfucking chat. Shout out to the motherfucking chat. I know it's almost time for me to get up and go to work, but before I go, I'm gonna do this real short live video, real quick. I know a lot of people are gonna disagree with me. I don't give a damn. Who gives a damn about Larry Hoover? Let's be honest. President Trump, a few days ago, I want to say over a week ago, he commuted, he didn't pardon him, he commuted his sentence from the feds. And some people think that Larry Hoover should be released from prison. Larry Hoover is not Nelson Mandela. Larry Hoover is not a political prisoner like some of our Black Panther brothers and sisters that are still incarcerated in some state penitentiary somewhere or federal correctional institution somewhere. What about the real heroes? What about the real people that hasn't committed a crime? They're just in prison for their political views, for defending their people. I could name a lot of people that's in prison right now that should get out. That should fucking get out. All the people that Trump should be pardoning, should pardon them, not a known criminal. Larry Hoover is the same thing as Stanley Tookie Williams, but Stanley Tookie Williams was one of the founders of the Crip gang. While he was in prison on death row, he wrote books. He wrote children's books. He addressed the thing about the gangs and other things that young people was going to be facing. Regardless of all the books that he wrote, regardless of the fact that he did change his life when he was in prison, they still killed him. Larry Hoover was not sentenced to death. And all the people Larry Hoover was responsible for killing, you know how many victims this man got on his jacket? I don't give a fuck if everybody say, oh, he's innocent, he should get out. No, he shouldn't get out. We got plenty of people, plenty of political prisoners. They're doing time because of their political stance, because of their political views, because they decided to speak out against the government. Shout out to the chat. Why they're not being commuted? Why are they not being pardoned? We got a young lady. She's not a young lady anymore. She's a senior citizen. Sister Shakur, who was accused of doing crimes that took place during the 1970s. And the evidence that came out that she did not commit those crimes came out a few years ago. They have not pardoned her. I don't give a fuck what nobody say. These United States is all about corruption. That justice system is not about justice. Some people, yes, they belong behind prison bars forever. What about the ordinary Joe and Jane? What about them? What about the people that are serving time right here in South Carolina? They're under the three strikes law and they're doing time for writing bad checks. What about them? Why they can't get a pardon? What is so special about fucking Larry Hoover? Like I said, he's not Nelson Mandela. He's not Malcolm X. He's not Martin Luther King. This man is a convicted criminal. He ordered the murders of different people while he was in prison. In and out of prison, this man was a criminal. I don't give a fuck what nobody say. His sentence should have never been commuted. Should have never been commuted. And that's my opinion. I know a lot of people are not going to agree with me. They don't have to agree with me. I'm not here for anyone to agree with. You don't have to agree with me at all. But you know what I'm saying is right. And I don't mean no harm. But it's got to come out. We got to start telling the truth about the Black community. We have to start telling the truth. You know how many serial killers are running around free in our community? I'm not talking about so much with white people. Yeah, white people, they got their problems, but we got our problems too. And the serial killers I'm talking about are supposed to be so-called gang members or, whatever, belonging to certain street organizations, nothing but a bunch of cowards. You want to kill someone? You want to earn stripes? Join the military. That's what the military is there for. Got a bunch of numbskulls joining street organizations and gangs, fighting over so-called territorial, just street blocks, certain corners, calling those places theirs, that it belongs to them. These people are not paying taxes on that shit. They're not paying no kind of taxes for the property they say they own. That's ridiculous. And it's shameful. They have a thing called the sex registry. Every state has one. And I was looking at the registry that we have for this area right here, because I don't live in New York right now. I live in Charleston, South Carolina. I've been here for a couple of years now. And I said to myself, I looked at that list and I looked at some of the people that's on the list and I looked at the faces. And some of those faces I actually recognize, because some of those men work for some of those companies I work for or I'm employed with. Because right now I only do temporary service jobs. That means traffic control. That means construction labor. That means doing dishwashing or event labor, where we go out and set up tents for certain companies and stuff like that. Some of these sex offenders work for those same companies. They're on the registry. I see them. I remember a few years ago, there was this dude I used to work with. We used to work for the same company downtown. And this dude had raped a woman not too far from where the the office is at, where we get dispatched at. He got arrested. He was booked. When I saw his mugshot, I looked and I said something. I said something about it. Told the boss lady, I said, if you have him working here, I'm going to let it be known that he's a sex offender, that he raped somebody 2 blocks from here. She immediately fired him. But there's a whole lot of others that are working for that company. It's just like the other company. It's 2 companies, there's 2 temp companies I work for. And they got certain people working for them that should not be working. Not at all. Some of them were convicted of sexually molesting children. I wonder that has always stomped me. I wonder why the United States or the different states in this country, in this corporation, would release a sex offender quicker than they would release someone that wrote a bad check. We got people right here in South Carolina and probably different other states, because different states have the 3-strike law thing going on, where these people are usually convicted because they were habitual offenders. They couldn't stay out of prison, and a lot of them got life sentences. A lot of them. Before I left the penitentiary in 2001, I came across one female. We called her LA. One female in general that I knew, that she kept saying, on the last time I saw her, she said, Arabia, I'm making this my last trip to the penitentiary. I said, well, what happened? She said, because if she go back out, they're going to just, if she commits another offense, she's going to get a life sentence because she's under the 3 strikes. I said, well, the 3 strikes law is an old one. It's very old. I don't think that would apply to you. I don't mean no harm, ladies and gentlemen, but that woman has not been back to the penitentiary. There has been some that has gone in and out. And our penitentiary system is not about rehabilitation. It's not. It's not about rehabilitation. It's about how many people the system can actually fucking lock up. I went to prison in 1995. I was 22 years old when I went in. I was 28 years old when I got out. And I was released. I maxed out my sentence. I went in 1995. I maxed out in 2001. October the 1st, 2001. I was 28 years old. 2 years short of turning 30 years old. I'm 52 now. But I'm just saying, instead of President Trump giving pardons to people that don't deserve them, he should look at the fact that there is the everyday Joe and Jane that are going to rot in prison. He's not concerned about the everyday Joe and Jane. He's concerned about people that have been celebrated in this country over a course of time. And I'm sorry to say it, Black people, my people, we celebrate people that don't need to be celebrated. We acknowledge drug dealers, the common criminal. I remember growing up in New York, pimps were revered as if they were pastors in the church. Shout out to the chat. And you know it's fucking true. You know it's fucking true. Being in prison is a thing of shame. And I have said it a few times. I have been there. I have been there. As I get older, I'm starting to think that even I was caught up in that mindset where I thought it was okay to get locked up, to get a number, to do a certain amount of time, and to get out. But I never went back to the penitentiary. I never fucking went back. Where's my fucking pardon? I'm dead ass serious. I'm laughing, but I'm dead ass serious. Shout out to the chat. Larry Hoover is no better than anybody. They said that President Trump gave him a pardon. I think people are getting it confused. I think his sentence was just commuted. But the state that he's going back to do his 200 years, the governor over there could easily, say, hey, let's just pardon this dude. Let's just let this dude out. Larry Hoover is in his 70s. He doesn't deserve a pardon. He doesn't deserve to get out of fucking jail. He's being celebrated all in the Black community when people like my father, for instance. My father was a registered nurse. My father worked in the medical field for a long time. He did it until he fucking retired. He was never celebrated. Nobody ever shook his hand and said, well, thank you for being a registered nurse. We got veterans in this country that are being treated worse than dogs in the street. Why doesn't President Trump do something to help the veterans? Don't worry about releasing people at a fucking prison that probably need to be there. Help your veterans. Help your everyday Joe and Jane. Help the people that are working 24/7 to keep this whole country or this corporation afloat. Shout out to the chat. I can look through this whole community that I live in, whether I be in New York, whether I be in South Carolina, whether I be in Virginia, whether I be in Mississippi, whether I be in Connecticut, whether I be in Boston, Massachusetts, whether I be in Rhode Island, Providence. We got serial killers walking around. Nobody's doing anything about them. This whole country is all fucked up, all screwed up in the fucking head. But then again, I got to remember that the founding fathers, so-called founding fathers of this country, of this corporation, were considered criminals in the eyes of England, in the eyes of certain European countries. Because a lot of people that came over to the United States before it became the United States, some of them were serving out prison sentences, working as indentured servants. Now, there are some people saying that there are some European people that were slaves during the early days of this country. Yeah, they were slaves. You know why? Because they came from the prison of certain European countries, certain European states. And those European countries or states decided to relieve themselves of their vermin, of their criminals, of their criminally insane. Oh, yes, Castro, Fidel Castro. He was the dictator over Cuba for many, many years. During the 80s, this man emptied his prisons and the mental institutions and sent those people over here to the United States. Florida was flooded with the vermin that came from Cuba. Shout out to the chat. I bet you I'm not going to get no amens about this. I don't give a fuck if don't nobody see this video, because everybody knows I'm telling the fucking truth. That's why I say it's hurricane season. In real life, dealing with people. That's why when I go to work, I do my work, I complete my work day, then I take my black ass home. Shout out to the chat. There is no hanging out. Birdman is not alive anymore. So I have no reason to go to anyone's house and hang out, play cards or dominoes, or watch TV, watch movies, go to cookouts, go to our own private parties. Because a lot of times it was just me and him being company. We didn't have to be girlfriend and boyfriend anymore, because we didn't. After a while, because everyone know the circumstance. But we remained friends. There were times I would be in my house, you guys, and this man would call me out of the blue. Just call me out of the blue. Baby, I'm just calling to check on you. I haven't seen you or heard from you in a while, so I'm just calling to check. Or he would come by the house. There's only one person that does that now, that might call me every now and then. There's only one person out of all the people I know in my life. But I bet you if I was still sitting up there in the penitentiary, it'd be a different story. And I noticed that my status changed when I got out of the fucking penitentiary. In there, I was somebody. Out here, I'm nobody. On this app, in the sector that I'm in, everybody knows my name. Because everyone knows that I used to have different channels. One channel had over 600 subscribers. The other channel had over 200 subscribers. This channel has what, 69 subscribers? I'm thankful to my subscribers. I appreciate my subscribers for supporting this channel. But let's say that I was someone like Susan Smith. Now, I don't mean no harm. But let's be the truth. Let's tell the truth about her because I did time with her. I'm gonna tell you something. This bitch is in the penitentiary serving 2 life sentences, not 1 life sentence, 2 life sentences for killing her sons, for killing her own children. Don't you know she's celebrated outside, on the outside? You know how many men write to her? You know how many men send her money? Every day, different men write to her. Different men send her money. She's celebrated. She's being worshipped. She's being revered as if she was a Congress lady, like Nancy Mace. Nancy Mace is not being recognized like Susan Smith is being recognized. I bet you Nancy Mace, the Congress lady from South Carolina, can walk down the street right now in Charleston, certain places in Charleston, South Carolina, and people would not recognize who the hell she is. But if they was to see Susan Smith walk down the same street, Susan Smith would get a parade. Shout out to the chat. Everybody fucking knows it. And that's reality. If you're a common criminal or a lifelong criminal and you were featured in the news, you are now a celebrity. You are more powerful than a politician. You are more powerful than a judge that's sitting on a bench somewhere in family court or Supreme Court or whatever court they sitting in. Some criminals are more celebrated than Michael Jackson. Let's be truthful. They look to villainize certain celebrities, but those that are convicted felons are celebrated. I wouldn't put it past it that man that murdered my people back in Newport News, Virginia, 2011 is being celebrated by certain people all over the fucking country. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if this man ain't getting his commissary filled up to the rim with money. But somebody like me got to go out and bust our ass every day just to make a few dollars to pay whatever bills I got. Shout out to the chat. Y'all got it all twisted. Y'all got it all fucked up in your mind. The president is all fucked up, and some people in society are all fucked up. Shout out to the chat. And that's reality. Let me get out of here and start my day. But I just wanted to put that in people's face of what the fuck they doing and let them know that I see that you're playing me in my fucking face. You can ask people for certain things. You won't get it. But they'll give it to you if you put a gun in your fucking face and you take that shit. Oh, they'll give you the whole world then. You get a gun and you put it in someone's face and say, empty out your pockets. Or you go into a store and say, this is a holdup. Or a bank and say, this is a holdup. You can do the same thing. You can go in the bank right now and write down what you want on a piece of paper and go to a teller and say, hey. Not saying that you're going to get away with it, but you're going to get at least 15 minutes of fame. You're going to be sitting in jail for a little while. You might get convicted of the crime. You might not. Shout out to the chat. That's reality. That's fucking life. It is what the fuck it is. I'm out of here.